Hello, everybody. It's Ross Cook with the Center of Balance and Effective Communication. Welcome to my Facebook Live today. We're going to talk about why is it continually difficult to constitute a lot of change and keep it going. Once you've made the changes, what do you have to do to just keep it really working for yourself? Just time and time again functioning without slipping back all the time. What are those slip back things? Why does that happen? Okay, so there's a number of answers to this question, and we're going to talk about one big one that we use in our practice a lot, that we initially, when you first come in, we go and find stresses and limits, and we disempower those things and then power up quality values that immediately make vast changes in your life. Today, but after you've been around 2-3 weeks, 3, 4, 5 sessions, we work through archetypes, and then we begin to work on monolithic programs, and that's what I want to talk to you today about. Monolithic fears, gigantic programs that come out of your histories. What's a monolith? A monolith, you may have seen, the easiest way to think about what they look like, an image, is it's a gigantic rock. You know, you've maybe seen a rock or a structure that the rivers have eroded everything around it, and the wind is blown, and so down in the middle of a canyon is this big, gigantic pillar that stands up, and it has stood the test of time while everything else has been released or diminished or ground down. And you may look at the bottom of that monolith and see that the water going by it is maybe an inch deep and 3 feet wide, but yet it has over time had tremendous ability at eroding everything except that monolith, except that gigantic piece of rock. Well, we have emotional monoliths in our lives. We have things that have happened in our lives. It was the way our parents responded to things, or the way they didn't respond to things in our lives. We were expecting love and we got powered, and it was constant, it was continued again and again. Maybe guilt was used as you grew through your patterns, and you were looking for great depth of just connecting, and you were getting all these other programs, and they were so consistent, and you wanted them so much that they ended up being gigantic limit-based programs that have a life of their own in your past. In our practice, we think you have about 3 or 4 in the front row and about 5 or 6 in the back row. And so when you go to make a change, when you go to do that, the moment there's your body, mind, body, spirit perceives an unconscious transformation happening, a big transition about to take place, one of the first things it does is it goes back into your subconscious mind and says, which are the most dominant programs that have been with me for a long time in my life? And they bring up these gigantic monolithic programs. It might be being a fear of being alone. It might be that you marry or date the same person again and again and again. It might be that you're a store builder, but you're not a good storekeeper. You can't keep it open. Your values just don't do that. Maybe you do that in relationships, and maybe you do that in connections, and maybe power has been an odd thing in your life. So there's a lot going on. We see it all the time in athletics. If you put 60 kids on a gym floor and you say, hey, who wants to shoot the last shot of the game? Every hand goes up. But what do we know? Not every kid sitting there wants to shoot that last one. Why? Because it might make him feel differently than his friends. Maybe if he makes it, maybe his friends wouldn't like him because they wanted to shoot that last one. If he misses it, oh, good Lord, if he misses it, what might that go like? And yet there's a kid or two sitting there whose patterns say it's okay to take that last shot. Meanwhile, the rest of them aren't getting open. They can't quite get open. They might have missed practice. They'll do just about anything in these obscure, amazing, convoluted patterns that will keep that change from developing. And everybody wants and says they want X, but as often as not, your patterns are going to make those decisions for you in crunch time, okay? They make the decision for you most of the time. And let me tell you a little story about monoliths and how they get started. When you're a little kid, okay, your parents say something and you absolutely believe it. It's straight down. It's a tube from them to you. It goes straight down. Boom. They think it. They say it. You get it. God is Santa Claus. Boom. I say this, that. I want it. Boom. It comes straight down. That's what you believe as a child. Now, as you get a little bit older, you start to realize that maybe everything your parents said about you and about what you are doing, so instead of it being a capital letter I shape, now it's a triangle. So you have an opportunity to stand over here at the side and make your own decisions about what that looks like, what that feels like. So an event is happening. How do I feel about that? How's that really going? How is it different than what I was taught before? How is it different than I was trained before in my life? And you now begin to make different changes. One is conformation, straight down to you, and one is confirmation. If you've been in some different religions, they have confirmation class, and you're now an adult, and they make all these wonderful things. You're an adult. You've thought, you've studied, you've done this and that. Just try and stay out till 2 a.m. and see if you're really an adult in your parents' eyes. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But within this construct, within this structure, they believe you have learned enough to understand confirmation, which is a different shaped understanding of how you get information, how you get goodness into your life, how you get power. So it's a different one, different conformation to confirmation. And we all go through it, whether we took classes or not. We all go through those things where we start saying, I'm slightly different and I see it differently than I've been taught all my life. What if this is the truth and valid for me versus that answer? Okay? So when we get back to monoliths just fire off. Now, why might they fire off? A season's change. You're attempting to do something new. You're going into a new place where you don't know the source of your energy for your behaviors. Up come the monoliths. And that might be an athlete who gets injured right before the big game all the time. It might be somebody, how many times when school starts, everyone goes, well, everybody gets sick in September. And then they make all these sociological rules of why that's true. The really truth is you've done it for so long, your cells believe it. Okay? So there's a lot of possibility out there. And that's why sometimes just getting hyper pumped and going at it one more time with greater energy and greater intensity only brings up and makes the loops back to a stressful event happen sooner because you're using more energy on a greater history. And so now it's very clear where you're going to pick out the next story, the next monolithic program as it reappears. If there's a death in your family, if there's a life transition, something happened, a job transition, the monoliths leap up and say, don't worry, I can handle this. I'm a big bunch of energy and I know exactly how we deal with this. Well, here's the good news. They're just energy. They're like a gigantic ATM of energy, and you could actually withdraw that energy from that and power up wellness. You have to have the right tools, and the people in our practice are learning it through balancing. If you don't know anything about, what we do or teach, we'd be glad to share it with you. Or maybe you just need to learn to take it into silence. Just take it into silence. Just get started and know the monoliths for what they are. They're just gigantic ATMs of energy that are going to reoccur in your life in increasing size and increasing frequency as you get older. And what you want to do is you want to learn to confirm them differently. You want to take the energy out of them differently, capture that energy, and now you can truly soar. You can truly power up something great in your life because you have all this energy from the past, and when they're decompressed, no, you have the energy to use them. We're not creating amnesia. Your subconscious mind isn't going to do that. But what you are going to decompress them so that your first 10 choices are not those anymore. They're something powerful and healthy and good and worthy. Okay? I'm Ross Cook. My company and our practice is the Center for Balance and Effective Communication. We teach profound change, and we teach you to make the change because you're the only one who knows where the vibrations were put. We'll be glad to help you. We're here for you. Be a beacon of good in this world. Study your monoliths. See what they are. Become aware of them. I love you. And I love all that you love and all those that you love. And we'll be meeting again soon. Until then, Jomo.